Have you ever wondered why opposites attract or how seemingly contradictory forces can coexist in perfect harmony? Is light in a constant battle with darkness, and are evil and good the same thing, only on different ends of the spectrum? Join me today as I unlock the secrets of polarity and discover how embracing opposites can help to transform your life, and how a powerful psychedelic gave me the answer to why both good and evil exist on the same plane. Get ready to challenge your perceptions, expand your consciousness, and embark on a journey of self-discovery like never before. Because just when you think you know it all, you'll realize you don't know anything at all.
There was a young programmer named Catherine. Catherine was exceptionally talented, with a brilliant mind for coding and a passion for pushing the boundaries of technology. However, Catherine also harbored a deep-seated fear of failure, constantly second-guessing herself and doubting her abilities. One day, Catherine embarked on a project to develop a groundbreaking software that could revolutionize communication. Excited by the possibilities, she poured her heart and soul into the endeavor, fueled by her ambition to leave a mark on the world. But as she encountered obstacles and setbacks along the way, Catherine's confidence began to wane and her fear of failure grew stronger. Despite her doubts, Catherine persevered, drawing on her determination and resilience to overcome each challenge. Along the journey, she encountered moments of triumph and moments of defeat, experiencing the full spectrum of emotions. As the project neared completion, Catherine found herself at a crossroads. Her fear of failure threatened to overshadow her accomplishments, casting doubt on the value of her work. But then, in a moment of clarity, Catherine realized the power of embracing the law of polarity. She understood that success and failure were not opposites but two sides of the same coin, each offering valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. With this realization, Catherine embraced her fear as a companion on her journey, acknowledging its presence without letting it dictate her actions. In the end, Catherine's software was released to widespread acclaim, transforming the way people communicated across the globe. And as she reflected on her journey, Catherine understood that it was her ability to embrace both success and failure, to navigate the highs and lows with grace and resilience, that ultimately led her to greatness.
Hermes Trismegistus is a legendary symbolic figure associated with the Greek god Hermes, who's considered a messenger and a guide between the divine and human realms, and the Egyptian god Thoth, who is associated with wisdom and writing. He covers a wide range of topics, and for this series, we'll be delving into the 7 Hermetic Principles, which became pretty influential in the development of the Western occult. We can assert that his earliest texts, known as the Corpus Hermeticum, are believed to have been written in the 2nd and 3rd centuries CE. Are you a good person? Are you an evil person? Are you a little bit of both? A little bit of both is way better, and a lot more fun. Kidding, of course. Kinda. But traditionally, good and evil have been viewed as absolute concepts, qualities that are inherently distinct and diametrically opposed. However, the law of polarity suggests that these moral dichotomies are not black and white, but rather exist on the same continuum with varying degrees of goodness and evilness, if that's even a word. At one end of the spectrum, we find acts of kindness, compassion, and altruism, qualities commonly associated with goodness. These actions are motivated by empathy, love, and a desire to uplift others, contributing positively to individuals and communities. Conversely, at the opposite end of the spectrum, we encounter acts of cruelty, hatred, and selfishness, qualities often associated with evil. These actions stem from egoism, fear, and a lack of empathy, causing harm and suffering to others, and perpetuating negativity in society. However, between these extremes lie countless permutations of moral behavior and ethical choices. Individuals may exhibit a mixture of both positive and negative qualities, and their actions may fall somewhere along the spectrum between good and evil. To further illustrate the good and evil concept, I'm going to tell you a realization I had after consuming dimethyltryptamine, otherwise known as DMT. The trip only lasted about 10 to 15 minutes, and during that time I had a profound realization that has stayed with me to this day. that good and evil made a deal with each other to exist on the same spectrum in order to help facilitate the understanding of both needed for the human experience. It's like Luke and the Emperor made a deal to let everyone fight their petty little feud of good versus evil while they watch from their thrones, giggling away, drinking blue milk. The blue milk. And this is what the fourth law in the Hermetic Principles wants to get across. The Law of Polarity suggests that everything in the universe exists on a spectrum, with opposites at either end: light and darkness, hot and cold, love and hate, and yes, good and evil. These are all pairs of opposites that exist on a continuum. There are no absolute extremes, rather there are varying degrees between the poles. So what, you might be thinking? It's obvious that there are always two sides to every coin. But how often do you stop to think that despite most circumstances being on either end of the spectrum, that these two poles, worlds apart, are actually connected in ways that you may not realize? Can understanding this concept of connectedness lead to a better understanding of our place in the universe? The Weeknd or Metallica? You may argue that these are two types of music that are diametrically opposed, and you may be right when it comes to the frequency, which, by the way, if you want to know more about, you can check out here on the third Hermetic Principle, the Law of Vibration. Although they probably have two different fan bases, they are both considered music, so two opposites existing on the same spectrum. While from the outside it may look like two opposing things may not be connected, the spectrum itself is the connection.
That rhymes, Marge, and you know it rhymes, admit it!
They're not separate entities, but different expressions of the same underlying reality. For example, no one believes that day and night are two completely separate phenomenon, but different aspects of the cycle of the Earth's rotation and its relationship to the sun. Let's think about this rationally. Without darkness, light would have no context or contrast. It would be impossible to perceive light without the backdrop of darkness. Similarly, without light, darkness would lack definition and remain this kind of, amorphous void. They're interdependent and inseparable, yet they form a cohesive whole. This contrast is so important in living life to the fullest, and I'll get to that later in a bit. But life in general will never ever follow a straight line. There's always going to be ebbs and flows, ups and downs, and as your guides on the other side would say, that's what makes life fun. But as humans, we hardly look at the ups and downs as fun, more as a nuisance that we have to deal with. Why can't everything just be perfect the way I want it to be all the time? Well, the truth is, it's hard for a lot of people to hear this. There's absolutely zero learning in that. And how can you transform your life, be the best version of yourself that you can be, without heinous moments to learn from? How does one gain certain amounts of clarity without opportunities for deep introspection? You need to fail to succeed. That's just life. And your failures can be anything you want it to be. How do you define it? You see, success and failure are often viewed as opposites, with success representing achievement and accomplishment, while failure represents setbacks and disappointment. However, when we look closer, we realize that success and failures are deeply interconnected and interdependent. Success is often built upon a foundation of failure. Ask any successful individual and they'll tell you that. Rarely is it just success after success after success. There are micro moments of failure and learning, and then using that knowledge to enhance and better the situation going forward. Most, if not all, successful individuals have experienced setbacks, challenges, and failures along their journey. And like I said, these experiences provide valuable lessons, insights, and opportunities for growth. Failure is not the antithesis of success, but rather an integral part of the process. It offers feedback, resilience, and the motivation to persevere. Paul Foster Case, who is an American occultist, author, and teacher of many of today's mystery traditions, particularly Tarot, Kabbalah, and Hermeticism, delves into the idea of polarity in regards to failure and success.
Success and failure are not endpoints, but waypoints on the journey of self-discovery. In the tapestry of life, they are threads woven together, each contributing to the richness of the whole. Do not fear failure, for it is but a stepping stone toward greater understanding and achievement. Likewise, do not become complacent in success, for it is fleeting and ever-changing. Instead, embrace both success and failure as teachers, guiding you along the path of wisdom and enlightenment. In their interplay lies the true measure of your resilience and character.
So here, Case emphasizes that success and failure are not absolute states, but relative experiences that arise from our perceptions and interpretations. He believed that both success and failure contain valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. Conversely, success can also contain elements of failure. So how will this new understanding of success and failure propel you to go after your dreams and make your wildest ambitions a reality? Imagine that you're standing at the edge of a serene lake, where the water meets the shore in a delicate balance. On one side of the lake, the water appears calm and still, reflecting the tranquil blue sky above. As your gaze shifts towards the opposite side of the lake, you notice a different scene unfolding. Here, strong gusts of wind whip across the water's surface, causing ripples and waves to form. The once placid lake transforms into a tumultuous expanse. Despite their apparent differences, both states of the lake, calm and turbulent, exist in a harmonious relationship, each complementing the other. The tranquil surface would not be appreciated without the occasional stirrings of the wind, just as the chaotic waves find their resolution in the return to stillness. This is the law of polarity at work. I remember not long after my divorce, I sat down and I exclaimed to the universe exactly what I wanted in a woman. Though my ex-wife had many wonderful qualities, I had wished that maybe some of those qualities were more closely aligned to some of my own. I even remember writing it down. I want someone exactly like me. Well, be careful what you wish for, right? Not long after I met a woman, and lo and behold, we were alike in so many ways. We liked the same things, had similar viewpoints, and even our life number was the same. But she was almost too much like me, to the point where I realized that I don't need someone to be like me. I needed someone to complement me.
All of a sudden it hit me. I realized what the problem is. I can't be with someone like me. I hate myself.
This contrast was needed to help pinpoint what it was I really wanted. And this is why contrast is so important. How many times have you found yourself interacting with people, whether you're on a date or hanging out with some coworkers, and they behave in a way that just doesn't sit well with you or match your current vibration? How many times will we call our best friend and complain about that person or whatever it is that they did and be like, how can they act this way? I can't believe they would do such a thing. I would never do that. Well, let's be real. A lot of us take this perspective. And as fun as it is, from time to time to complain or get things off your chest, it does no good for you unless you see it for what it really is. The universe providing you with contrast. Now, why in the world would the universe keep on showing you things that revile you? Why would it keep shoving in your face things you have no interest in seeing and interacting with people you have no interest in spending time with? Well, the reason is simple. To solidify what it is you really want to experience. That's it. You gain a better understanding of what you do want in life by experiencing that which you don't want. And the law of polarity is big on showing you this contrast. So you can have a better understanding of balance and that everything is existing as it should be. We can get a greater understanding of this concept through the works of Helena Blavatsky. She was a Russian occultist, philosopher, and an author. She is best known for her seminal work, The Secret Doctrine, published in 1888, which outlines the fundamental tenets of theosophy and delves into the esoteric teachings of various ancient traditions, including Hermeticism. Here, she puts in great detail what we just discussed about contrast.
In the cosmic dance of existence, contrast is the fundamental rhythm. Light and darkness, good and evil, joy and sorrow. These opposites are not separate entities, but complementary aspects of a unified whole. Through contrast, the richness of experience unfolds, leading to greater understanding and evolution. Embracing the diversity of existence, we come to realize that every contrast contains the seeds of its opposite. And through this realization, we transcend the limitations of duality and perceive the underlying unity of all things.
Okay, so I need to take a quick break from this video to tell you something that happened to me as I was writing this. So I was writing this episode at a coffee shop, and as I was sitting there writing, there was someone across from me who was staring at me. I looked up at him and stared at him to see if I knew him, then went back to my work. And as I was writing this, he started saying,
"Hey you! Hey you!"
And he kept on saying that over and over again, and finally I just put my head up. I looked up at him and he said,
"Yeah, you! You don't like people staring at you, do you?"
I just looked at him and then looked back down. My heart was beating so fast because I'm not one who enjoys these types of confrontations. Not at all. He then said,
Mind your own fucking business. Next time you better know who the fuck you're staring at.
right. So, what an opportunity I had there, right? Now I continue to write, and as I start writing the rest of this episode, my heartbeat goes slower and slower and slower. But this became just another example of contrast. Here's an individual clearly not centered or aligned with anything positive, looking for a fight. But he's a reminder of the type of person I don't want to be. 9 times out of 10, if someone's staring at me, I'd smile back, which in this society is frowned upon.
Good one.
But he's a great example of the vibration I don't want to have. So in this moment, I kept mine up and continued to keep writing. Contrast. Anyways, back to Blavatsky. Her perspective on contrast emphasizes the importance of embracing the diversity of existence while still recognizing the underlying unity that permeates all things. So look around you, observe the contrast. And how can that contrast get you closer to the person you really want to be?
Once in a secluded village there lived 2 brothers, Alex and Ben. Alex was known for his boundless positivity, always seeing the bright side of every situation, while Ben was often pessimistic, dwelling on the negatives. One day, a great fire ravaged their village, destroying crops and homes. Alex remained steadfast, believing that they would overcome the damage and they would rebuild stronger than before. Ben, on the other hand, despaired, convinced that their village was doomed to suffer endlessly. As time passed, the village began to recover. Alex's optimism inspired the villagers to work together, finding hope amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, Ben's pessimism hindered his own efforts and those around him. Years later, another challenge befell the village, this time a drought that threatened their very existence. Now it was Ben who found hope, believing that rain would eventually come and nourish their lands. But Alex, having faced adversity before, remained cautious, preparing for the worst while still hoping for rain. In the end, rain did come, but not before the villagers, guided by Alex's pragmatism and Ben's newfound hope, had united to conserve water and support each other through the difficult times. As the villagers reflected on their experiences, they realized the wisdom in embracing both optimism and pessimism, understanding that in life, like in nature, there are cycles of highs and lows. And in the balance between the two lies the strength to endure and thrive.
One of my favorite movies ever, and I do have a ton of them, is Avatar by James Cameron. The story is common and universal, the special effects are out of this world, but what I loved most was the heart of the movie, both from the characters and from one of the protagonists that's hardly discussed thoroughly. The tree they called Aiwa, the Tree of Souls. The Tree of Souls serves as a spiritual nexus and focal point for the Na'vi people, serving as a conduit for communication and communion with the spiritual realm. It's the hub that connects all things. Destroy Aiwa, and the connection of the indigenous people is severed. It parlays to the viewer in maybe not such a subtle way that, as we have discussed before, everything is connected. And by recognizing this underlying unity, we can transcend apparent divisions and appreciate the interconnectedness of all things. Consider the diversity of the life forms on Earth. From microscopic bacteria to towering oak trees, from insects to mammals, the natural world is teeming with an incredible array of species. Each species exhibits unique characteristics, but despite this, share a common ancestry and are ultimately composed of the same fundamental building blocks: cells and DNA. Again, it's all on the same spectrum, and looking at one of the most fundamental building blocks of life shows how this diversity is simply all parts of the same thing, just in different forms. And what we're talking about here is water. It gives life, and it also can take life. Another example of our planet's incredible contrast. Viewed more closely, we can see that the water cycle involves continuous movement between the Earth's surface, atmosphere, and oceans through processes such as evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and runoff. So let me ask you this. Can you broaden your perspective to not only know intellectually that everything is connected, but to feel it as well? Once you begin to look at everything as variations of the same source, then everything begins to make sense. Maybe we are just a bunch of organisms fighting for space in the same petri dish. And if we are, how can we use this understanding to feel more at peace with our place in the universe? As we conclude our exploration into the enigmatic realm of polarity, I hope you've gained some new insights, perspectives, and perhaps even a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Remember, polarity is not just a concept. By embracing the interplay of opposites, we can transcend limitations, find balance, and unlock our true potential. So as you navigate life's twists and turns, remember to embrace the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the love and the fear. It's this integration of opposites that we find wholeness, harmony, and ultimately, profound transformation. Now, I know these laws can sometimes be intimidating, but I promise you it's not as difficult as it seems. We can apply them into our everyday life with a little patience. For the law of polarity, here are 5 ways we can use it to enhance our daily lives. Number 1, developing resilience. Recognize that challenges and setbacks are not inherently negative, but rather opportunities for growth and transformation. By embracing the polarity between adversity and opportunity, you can cultivate resilience and adaptability in the face of life's ups and downs. Number 2, balancing emotions. Understand that emotions exist on a spectrum ranging from positive to negative. Instead of suppressing or avoiding negative emotions, acknowledge them as part of the human experience. By embracing the polarity between joy and sorrow, love and fear, you can develop emotional intelligence and find balance in your emotional life. Number 3, cultivating gratitude. Appreciate that even in difficult situations, there are elements to be grateful for. By focusing on the positive aspects of your life, you can shift your perspective and cultivate a sense of gratitude. Embracing the polarity between abundance and scarcity, you can foster a mindset of abundance and attract more positivity in your life. Number 4, fostering empathy. Recognize that everyone experiences life through their own unique lens, shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, and circumstances. By embracing the polarity between empathy and judgment, you can cultivate compassion and understanding towards others. This can deepen your connections with people and contribute to a more harmonious and compassionate world. And number 5, seeking balance. Understand that balance is essential for overall well-being, whether it's balancing work and play, rest and activity, or solitude and social interaction. By embracing the polarity between different aspects of your life, you can strive for balance and harmony. And this may involve setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and honoring your needs in various areas of your life. The law of polarity is, of course, polarizing for those of us who don't see its ultimate purpose. Applying these principles in our everyday lives affords us the opportunity to harness its power to cultivate resilience, emotional balance, gratitude, empathy, and overall well-being. Remember, when it comes to the world that we live in, there is more to it than meets the eye. If you found any value in today's videos, then please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support is very much appreciated, and together I truly believe that we can raise the vibration of our planet. Also, feel free to leave suggestions in the comments on topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Our next episode will be number 5, the principle of rhythm, and I hope to see you there. Once again, I'm Sean Hakim. Thank you so much for visiting, and remember, I have not told you anything that you already don't know.